is because today is the feast of Saints Zacharias and Elizabeth, who were the parents of St. John the Baptist. And the gospel refers to Zacharias, and it refers to the fact that he was murdered in the temple. We know that Zacharias and Elizabeth were very righteous people. We know that they were very faithful people. And we know that they wanted to have a child, and they were not able to. And at that time, especially, unlike today, people thought that not having a child was a sign that one was out of favor with God. Of course, we no longer believe that. And so Zacharias and Elizabeth were patient until the day that an angel came to Zacharias and told Zacharias that he and Elizabeth were going to have a son. And Zacharias said, "How is this going to be? Because we are old." And the angel said, "It is the will of God that this is going to be. And because you're doubting, you are not going to be able to speak until the day that your son is born." And so Zacharias and Elizabeth had a baby. They named the baby John. And on the 8th day after his birth, they brought the baby to the temple to be circumcised according to their tradition. And people asked Zechariah, "What name are you going to give this child?" And Zechariah wrote on a tablet, "His name is John." And then his tongue worked again, and he prophesied for God. Now Zacharias and Elizabeth, were told, raised John in the desert, away from people. And Zechariah continued his service in the temple. And we know that after Jesus was born, that Herod sent soldiers to kill all the children under age 2 at the time. And John would have been in that number. And so people knew that Zacharias had a child because it was very public. He was a priest in the temple, and this miracle had happened, and people knew that they had a child. So they went to the temple and they said, "John, where's your child?" And John wouldn't say where the child was because Elizabeth had hid him in the wilderness because he had an important role to play. And so they murdered Zachariah in the temple in place of his son. And so that is why the gospel reading is today, because of the unrighteous killing of Zachariah. Now the lesson here, in a positive way, is told in the epistle, which I'll get to in just a second. But God calls everybody to a different role in life. And Zachariah and Elizabeth, if you looked at them on paper, people would have said, I don't want to be them. I mean, who would want to be them? To wait your whole life to have a child, and now Zachariah finally has the child that he so wanted, and he's not able to even live to watch the child grow up. And the history of Christianity is filled with people who took very not good roles, and they fulfilled them beautifully, faithfully, and God has exalted them. We look at them as our saints, and Zechariah is one of them. And we hear in the beautiful passage from Corinthians a foretaste of heaven, a description of heaven. As it is written, "What no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor the heart of man conceived, what God has prepared for those who love him." So something that is so beautiful and so majestic that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, nor heart of man conceived. The beauty that no one can comprehend, this is what is laid as treasure for all those who love God. So if your life is difficult, if life is challenging, if you feel like you've been kicked to the curb, if you feel like Zachariah, I'm waiting my whole life and it's not going well, and then it finally went well and I didn't even get to enjoy it. We're supposed to stay faithful to God and wait for this beautiful thing that no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor heart of man conceived, what God has prepared for those who love him. That's what faith is. And it's very hard to be a person of faith when things are going wrong. It's very hard to be a person of faith in the world that criticizes people of faith. It's very hard to say, "Oh, everyone is getting ahead materially but me, and I'm just holding out for this." Many people look at faith like most of you have seen the Charlie Brown Halloween special, right? where Linus is in the pumpkin patch waiting for the great pumpkin, and everyone is saying, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. He's like, no, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. He has so much faith, and of course his faith is destroyed because it doesn't happen. But I think there are many people that feel like that we're like that, like in the pumpkin patch saying, I'm waiting and I'm waiting, I know he's going to come. And this is the kind of faith that we have to have because we believe that God is not like the cartoon that doesn't come through for us. We believe that God is majestic and glorious and is faithful to those who are faithful to him in this life and especially in the life to come. So the reading from the Bible is not very inspiring today from the gospel. It's historical, but the reading from the epistle is inspiring, and the life that the gospel refers to in Zacharias is inspiring. We're supposed to stay faithful to God no matter what. We're waiting for a reward that no one can comprehend, the thing that God has prepared for those who love him. Please stand.